I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Frieren, Season 1, Episode 17. I cannot decide if I believe that Sign is leaving or not. He's going to Tur, which is the opposite direction that we're going. Allburst.
More than just a little tiny detour.
Yeah, but he has intel on where the Gorilla Warrior was last seen, and I understand if he goes. I kind of want him to go for himself.
Yes.
But I would very much miss Sign. I think we were in the car earlier today or yesterday just talking about Frieren and me being like, man, I feel like we were talking about Sign as a character, and I said that I feel like I very rarely see a late addition to a group as Sign was, and it not be some like inserted, oh, he's actually a bad guy, like, you know, or like meant to disrupt like the flow. It's just so nice to see this character as a change of pace, and I don't know what's gonna happen next.
He truly kind of had a specific role and place and bridged some gaps within this group that I think were really interesting. Obviously, like the privilege of being young, those episodes where we kind of see this idea that he is older than, say, Fern and Stark, obviously not as old as Frieren, but he definitely bridges a little bit of this gap. And obviously Frieren's this character where she's like a mom, a little sister, a big sister, and all of these things mixed into one. And Sign has a bit of a big brother energy to him. And I think that adding that addition with Stark and Fern to the dynamic of the four of them, I was really, really enjoying. I agree with you, though, that it is probably better for him as a person that he go to Tur and look for Gorilla Warrior himself.
Like, imagine a world that he does leave, and then next season or something, we, like, randomly run into not only Sign, but Sign and Gorilla Warrior.
We'd be
and
so
get to,
happy.
Like, hear about their stories, you know?
Oh, the mutual
go on a mission
telling.
together,
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
That'd be awesome. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Sweet. Man, look at the expression on his face.
I'm glad by the conflicted expression. He doesn't necessarily want to leave them.
Yeah. Aw.
We are making a decision. I wonder if we are going to decide if...
I'm conflicted.
Oh
I
my
love
God,
the intro.
It feels similar, though. It feels really similar in the greatest way.
I can't tell yet. I love...
Why do I want to cry?
Okay, I'm in love with it.
It feels like a continuation of the same story the first opening started. Like, in art and everything.
Whew! Who are these people?
I can't wait to meet them, whoever they are!
There's so little us. You know? Who are all of these people?
People that we're probably gonna be glad to have met.
I loved it, but I'm sad too. Take care.
Why does this show make me so emotional?
Because it's good.
I feel like a baby. The show makes me a baby.
Fern's voice actress is so good.
Was Fern always this much taller than Frieren?
Am I Fern?
Maybe. Oh, it's like a possible last hurrah.
Man.
Similar to when they met Kraft the monk and then said goodbye to him. No, duh, because of the statues being Sign and Gorilla.
Oh no. True. Oh,
I
run
like
by
that.
a shady old man.
I know, I like that we're excited about the shady old man.
Yeah, legendy. What the?
Are we sure Frieren didn't create this cold spell?
What?
Dude, I want that first one.
It's amazing. I want to meet this guy. Could have been blown away. Just enough time to make it feel like a goodbye, you know? Show me the shady old man, please, God. Yes!
Yes! He looks more sweet than shady.
Look at that barkeep.
Because that's your usefulness.
It's a priest's job.
Bringing back him helping.
Oh no,
With the
they are in a fight.
Look, her ears are like drooping.
They're everything to me.
It's like confession.
Love this show so much. Unlike me. Wow.
Remember, his master was scared of him.
I love everything. I love my life.
Just start dating already!
I understand why you like signs so much.
I'm gonna miss him.
俺のことをガキみたいに褒めるのは実際にガキでしょ旅に誘ってくれた時もそうだがなんで俺なんかにこんなに構ってくれるんだやっぱり同族嫌悪かな冒険に出ようとしないザインが魔王討伐に旅立つ前の私とよく似ていて、頭にきた
So full circle this episode. We really are gonna say goodbye.
だからこそきっと私はきっかけを与えたかったんだろうね勇者ヒンメルならそうしたってことだよ手を取れフリーレン君が旅立つきっかけはこの僕だ私はヒンメルたちに旅立つ勇気と仲間と過ごす楽しさを教えてもらった楽しかったでしょああ私は今の話をしているんだよだから私は彼女の言葉を信じることにしました一緒にずっと歴史に名を残すような英雄になるってねやっぱり俺はゴリラを追いかけるよもう後悔するつもりはないんだ随分あっさりと別れるじゃねえかザインは二人と違って大人だからねきっとうまくやるよ
He said he liked, I think he liked that you treat him like a kid a little bit.
一人だとこんなに静かなんだな珍しいなまだ寝て
They're hibernating. Are they still asleep?
Or are they sick? Something that would affect a magic user?
Maybe.
Oh, sick.
Fever. Is Frieren just sleeping? Because it's Frieren.
Is this some master plan of just date already? Like in a romance manga?
Cold hands.
Oh, I love how they were red in the fingertip.
What a great shot.
I was about to say, of course it was crazy this would happen when Sign leaves us.
Wow. Oh. Interesting.
Glad to know there are little villages, like, nearby. It's an older woman!
Icicle cherry blossom. What a nice woman. Aww. Oh, I know. I'll go gather alone. Stark, you stay here. Hold her hand. Don't treat me like a child.
That's like a through line.
Yeah. Just the perception of age, you know? What?
Yes! I love it.
That was great. So much detail in this world, man. Whoa!
Wow. It's like,
oh,
it's glistening.
Yeah. Take a picture. Whoa.
Brings us back to that late night conversation with Heiter.
Ah. Those are massive. So cool.
I love it. I bet it tastes good.
I don't know. Medicine never tastes good.
Cooked in a big pot like that?
Whoa.
The earring. The hair clip.
This is so cool. Okay, that was Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 17. This show's something special, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if there was something wrong with me today or if it's this show, but I still feel like the tears right here.
Yeah, me too.
And it has to be this show. I haven't.
Or we're fucking crazy.
I haven't cried once today for any other reason. So obviously it is the show. I'm not just having one of those days, which, sometimes I will be the first one to admit I do sometimes have those days.
Yeah.
But I think it's this show. I think that it is just some magical witch's brew combination of what is put into this story. The music, the characters, the personalities, the pacing, the voice acting, everything that has been put into this pot comes out with the most comforting, nostalgic but you've never seen it before, lonely but comforting, just what it feels like to grow up, what it feels like to be acknowledged or understood by, as a viewer, you almost feel like you're being acknowledged or understood or comforted or given emotional support as an adult.
Yeah. It's similar. It's like a similar feeling to the feeling I got at the end of Mob Psycho Season 2, Episode 7. But every episode.
This show it's not over yet, obviously, thank goodness. I never want it to be over. I know we'll get into what we saw maybe from the opening, and that will definitely go along with what I'm about to say, but there's just something beautiful about this show that I think that there's no way and no doubt in my mind that it's not going to hold some spot in either a top 5 list or just a special place in my heart of a comfort show. We were talking about this earlier, the idea of comfort characters.
Mm-hmm.
And in the car earlier, not on the channel earlier. We say all the time that maybe we should record ourselves in the car because we do like to talk about the things that we watch, and we try to, if we have anything good or cool that we say, which is rare, off camera, then we try to remember to say it on camera. And this show, it was to ask yourself, who's your comfort character in Frieren Beyond Journey's End? It's kind of no, it's the cast. The cast of characters is comfort. There's not a specific... The
mangaka is the comfort
character.
The
mangaka that came up
I'm
with
assuming manga, but...
Yeah, we're assuming manga. But it's just the cast. It's that you want to be in this group. I don't feel like I can just pick and choose and be Frieren, Fern. I'm no, I love all of them. All of them are comforting. All of them separately are comforting. All of them together are comforting. I'm sad that Sign is leaving. And that is what I'm going to say.
But I'm happy that he's leaving too.
But I'm happy for him, yes. As a viewer, I'm going to miss him, but...
Man, I think that some shows, even when we talk about it off channel, you can try to rank shows or have a Mal account, give scores to shows. But I think that there are some shows and stories that within experiencing them, they supersede any type of numeral ranking because it's it leaves a subjective filling in your heart or in your body that it's this is special to me, you know?
Yeah, you're not necessarily saying it's a different type of this is important to me the subjectivity of that versus trying to have a researched, thought out argument of why this is the best show ever.
Which I think you could make for Frieren.
Which you could make, yes.
But the point that I'm trying to make was of course it's good. Of course it's amazing and great and perfect. But what it means to me too, it's man, it's something this is gonna be like a rough call out at the moment, even though I do it all the time just because of the recency of how fucking awful this is. But I Dragon Ball is extremely important to me. I have a Dragon Ball tattoo. It is so significant in my life just because of nostalgically what it did for me growing up and what weight it had and impact it had on my life. And sometimes when you try to look back at certain parts of it, like a lot of it's just rose-colored glasses because it's nostalgia, right? But that feeling that stayed with me of how impactful it is, what I was bringing up, how awful this is. Unfortunately, everybody would know it, but unfortunately, Akira Toriyama passed away March 1st, and that is something I'm still trying to come to terms with since finding out last night. But that subjective, like, something that mainly resides in something nostalgic that was important to you as a kid. It's so insightful and rewarding to be able to feel a similar feeling now just based off of the quality and hold that a quality show like Frieren is able to offer me. It really hits me.
There is something about, and I can completely agree with what you're saying, at least if I'm understanding it correctly. For me, I would say the closest would be when I would rewatch the original Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket was such like an important series to me when I was younger and when I first watched it. And every time I would rewatch it, there was a comforting nostalgia to it, or would see the characters or something. There was something about it that held such a special place in my heart that I would almost be immediately brought to tears by just how glad I was to be back in that world, and to be almost enveloped in it, and like these characters were somehow through the screen caring for me. And this show, even though I've never seen it before, and these aren't characters that we know from our childhood. This isn't a story that we've heard before, but it feels like it is. It feels like we're on this journey and there might be twists and turns, but none of it's so like shocking that it like doesn't make you feel like you're still entirely like being cared for and safe and comfortable. But it's also talking about some really, really tough kind of ideas and subjects like grieving, I would say, and making sure that you appreciate and love the people that are around you. And I think that this episode in particular, with the idea of like the emotional support and caring for people, not just adults deserve it too, not just kids. The care and the acknowledgement, the emotional support, the being able to feel for a second like they can just breathe and they can just be vulnerable in front of you and you're able to take care of them. I think that's why I'm gonna miss Sign, because I really liked his contribution to that conversation. This whole episode was really full circle in that. Like, it brings you back to Heiter a couple episodes ago, and I think it was like the privilege of being young, when they're on the rooftop, Sign and Frieren, we get the flashback to Heiter being like, the conversation of, you don't just turn into an adult, you pretend.
Yeah.
It's all pretending. You still need that support and validation and acknowledgement and care, and to have people looking out for you. You still need that. It's not that you just like one day grow up and suddenly you are completely independent, strong on your own, and able to take on the world.
Man, I've been trying to find this quote for the past like minute or two now that I don't know if I'll be able to find. If I do, or if I think of it, I'll definitely bring it up at a later point. But it was a quote from the author of Mob Psycho and One Punch Man, about his intention of writing, like what made him decide to write the story of Mob Psycho and what his like approach to it was. And it was referenced in Totally Not Mark's retrospective review of Mob Psycho, but the vibe of it, right, not even going to try to or attempt to paraphrase it, was the idea of like having like a simplistic, in a sense, goal of what you're trying to do with writing a series? Like, what's your approach going to be? Are you going to do something that can be episodic? Are you going to do something that is going to have plot twists and like things that you won't find out until seasons later? Are you like going to write an A and B plot every episode? Like, what's your goal here in trying to write the story? What does it mean? And it feels like the author of Frieren has like such a clear vision of what they're trying to get across in not only each episode, but it's truly a through line from the first episode of Frieren to now. That has never left this show in any episode. And man, props to Frieren. I love it. Okay. Do you want to talk about the episode a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, new intro.
Yes.
I was a little sad at first because I'm so obsessed with the original intro, but obviously it's like a continuation. Same with the outro. It's perfect.
Yes.
It's great. I loved it. I've not only have no complaints, I am so excited to watch it again. I'm wildly surprised that there were so many new characters. And I wasn't even seeing a lot of Stark in it. And I was like, oh no, are we gonna lose Stark at some point too? I was getting nervous.
I feel very thankful that Sign was introduced, I would say, in the first kind of a chunk of what the first opening represented, because Sign showed us, the viewer, that it was okay to introduce a new character into this dynamic.
Yeah.
That it wasn't going to cheapen anything. It wasn't going to distract from anything. It wasn't going to undo dynamics that were already existing and change them for maybe the worse. It was, if anything, going to enhance it. And Sign very quickly became comforting. And I liked having him there. And I think that he, as a character, has given me faith in any of those. Who knows, for that opening, which of those characters are actually going to have more of a significant role? Are they going to be a Craft the Monk, where it's like 2 episodes or an episode, and they're also maybe a part of the lore like his character is? Mm-hmm. Or is it going to be someone like Sign, who joins us for a short while and then leaves? I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I think that all of the attempts I've seen at bringing a new character into the story have been beautiful, and I have faith and trust that I am probably going to enjoy meeting all of those characters. It's not going to be jarring or uncomfortable, as it sometimes is in other series, to suddenly get new characters all the time.
It's like, when are they as mm-hmm. well? Not just like, when are we going to meet them? How long are they going to be around us? Fuck, we got Sign and Guerrilla Warrior both in last intro, and the only, like, Guerrilla Warrior wasn't a character we met. It was a character we met, like, had memories of and meant a lot to, you know? It's so interesting, like, how many directions it could take it.
This story is all about the influence of being truly present with people.
Yeah.
When you meet someone, you are meeting a person who has met so many other people, and all those people that were important to them have informed who they are and have given them memories and reasons of existing and goals and dreams. And when you meet them, and you truly, the beauty of meeting people and truly getting to know them and the stories they have to tell, that is what this story is showing, is to be present with people. And whatever you, even if you're only meeting someone for a quick 5 minutes on the street, there is something beautiful that can be taken from that moment.
Yeah.
And that's what the show is saying. It's like, be present.
Yeah. The idea of legendary level spells being given to us from a shady old man, I love it. And what's even better is the classification of the legendary spells and how they are a spell to get rid of mold or a spell to get rid of tough oil stains. It's the best thing ever. It's amazing.
And like, when we were watching that, at least me, I was like, ooh, I want these spells. And then like a couple dialogue lines later, Fern's like, these spells changed my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, it would change my life as well.
Don't you love that they are the ones that are classified as legendary? Like, the spells that are so convenient and like
that they changed my world.
Your day-to-day life. Like, it's not like, ooh, this like mega giant atomic blast that could, like, you know, wipe away a whole forest is the legendary spell. It's fucking snow cone shit.
This is what human magic is.
Oh, it's so good, man. do you have any guesses of like a similar type of spell that you think could fit into that category?
Oh my god. I feel like to actually come up with anything that would be really good, I would probably need more than just I'm not good with on the spot.
Okay. I don't know if it would be too much, like this would be uber legendary or super legendary, but like what if you could like have a spell to paint a wall or like change a
Okay.
wall's color? Like
Okay.
that would be broken.
I thought of one. I can never open bottles. Even water bottles, anything. Cans, jars. I can't open anything. I don't know what it is. I need a spell to open things.
Yeah, I mean.
Even bags. When I tear it, I need to then cut it with scissors because it tears and it's not perforated.
Wait, so that's a real issue you have, and is it just something you do to perpetuate a false narrative that I'm actually strong and offer you something within our lives?
This has all been.
So I feel like painting a wall spell, like it wouldn't be you have the choice of what color it would be if we existed in the world of Frieren. You would need different spells for different colors. Yeah, and different shades.
Like dye in a video game where you like have to dye your clothing and you have to get a specific dye if you want it to be that color.
Yeah, that would definitely be a good one. The jar one would be interesting, but I feel like it's too vague. Like I feel like it applies to too many like jars. It would need to be a specific type of jar.
It would have to be specific.
Like a mason jar, you know?
What changes it from being just opening things?
Yeah.
And then that could get dangerous.
I like getting rid of mold and a spill. Like the idea of the person who comes up with these and created these is so fascinating. I wonder if, like, obviously fires
getting fur off of clothing.
Oh, but then it'd be like what kind of animal fur?
Lint rollers don't. We need magic because lint rollers don't do their job effectively enough.
That's true. Well, maybe it's just our dog. You know, that specific type of fur.
Then we'll have a spell for the specific type of fur that we're talking about.
Do you think you could have a spell to change like color ink in a pen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very color focused.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we can move on from spell. I'm gonna be thinking of different spells for the rest of my day. The whole issue between Fern and Stark and the approach to it and its through line for the rest of the episode is absolutely fantastic. So, first of all, Fern just touching Stark on the face with the cold hand.
It was very you.
I love that. I love it so much. And what makes it even better is the idea that was the issue that like put them at, ends with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing like just the pan of the room, it pan out and you see Stark facing one way and then Fern's facing the same way, looking away from Stark.
I debated for a second if we were faking an issue as like a goodbye to sign he can conflict resolve one last time.
Yeah.
But I like that it was not actually the case, that it was fake and that it was very much real. And obviously, as Fern said, she was being stubborn like usual. But even before this, the idea that we got snowed in here before Sign leaves, mirroring Kraft the monk, and the fact that Kraft is the guy in the statue representing of what like guerrilla warrior wanted to be.
Yeah.
This story is so perfect with there being overarching through lines and, continuations of a cycle finished to an end, while also in the narrative of the episode, there is through lines.
And it's bringing back things with the only purpose of it being brought back is to add another, like, layer to it. It's not rehashing previous things because they were received better or, like, for just, like, a fan servicey type of thing. No, it's, like, an actual connection to the next part of the story.
Mm-hmm. And this was good for the characters because they got a little bit more time before they actually had to say goodbye. Even though Sign says, we haven't actually spent any of this time together, they still got like a few last really special moments.
Yeah, and I really like what Sign is able to like still bring in this like mediation table, but it's not just now. Like, just like the book that was given to Frieren, I think the idea of this mediation, this one instance, will be remembered by Fern and Stark.
Right. Sign even said before, when he was talking to, I don't know which one he was talking to in the time that he was mediating, but he reminded them that Frieren is not going to be their mediator. This is something that, especially if he's not there, they're going to need to work out together and just be honest with each other.
Yeah.
This is like a very learning moment. Like, going forward, like, you both care about each other. You both know what happened and what you need to say. Next time, there's not going to be the opportunity to be pulled into a separate room and have someone give you the confidence to do this yourself. You're going to have to just do it.
I legitimately thought that by in like the cheekiness that is Fern, like I legitimately thought that as like a joke or a jab, by the end of the episode when she's talking feeling sick or all better, she's like, Stark, this is your fault for touching my face with a cold hand. Like
yeah.
And he'd be like, what? Like, we were just in the cold for a week.
This is all your fault.
Yeah, but I loved their interactions, and I thought it was really interesting that like partly the reaction in the moment from Fern was about the strength of Stark's grip in his hand, like holding her in place. And like obviously you made the connection during the reaction of like that, like being fearful of him is something that his master said.
Eisen was. But there's also this idea that like Fern is very rarely touched by Stark or anyone from what we can see. And she lived a very sheltered life. Any interaction she's had with anyone, even like the opposite sex or someone around her age, the only instance of that has been Stark.
Yeah.
And they've been very like, oh, okay, when they were dancing the other episode, that's probably the most they've ever touched. And I feel like that was probably also something, like, this was very new and weird and interesting. Like, yes, we like danced a couple episodes ago, but then to be like both hands on you in like a new way, catching you off guard too, and they're strong hands, and like normally she's being touched by like Frieren. It's something that's different, and I can understand why that would be scary or new to her because of how really sheltered she has lived.
Yeah. Just date already. I wrote that down. Yeah.
As soon as it was said, I was like, this was written for the viewer. This was written for the viewer that loves romance. The ones that search for it in every little possible nook and cranny, in every show possible, even if it's not labeled a romance. We're looking for it.
I love, and then like immediately after that line, like we get Frieren talking to Sign, and Sign saying, Frieren, you're the only one who praises me like a kid. This is 9 minutes into the episode. Not only does it like bookend itself in a minute and a half, 2 minutes from now when that goodbye comes with the,
he's an adult.
It is a through line until literally the end of the episode of treating me like a kid, And this conversation didn't happen with Fern or Stark around, but it's still within Frieren's mind. So of course it's going to connect. It's so good. I cannot believe Frieren is able to identify... Okay, I'm not going to get there yet. I do want to acknowledge Sign's leaving. Unlike you two, Sign is an adult. Which is funny considering what just comes next with Fern, but... Sign's journey, right? How quiet a lone adventure is. Do you think we're going to see him again?
I would absolutely adore... We don't need to ever have him come back to the party. I admit that. But I think that it would be lovely to at least hear from someone, whether that's someone who had come across him on their own journey and we meet up with that person, and that person be like, oh, I met a guy named Goatee Priest, you know, and a guerrilla warrior. I met them. They were together. And, to hear that they met up and that they were traveling together from another person's mouth, I think would fit with the way the story is being told, of kind of like journeying and meeting people, leaving an impact on them. Like
we arrive to a village somewhere past Auburst, and it's or eventually, and it's being rebuilt, and we're talking to them like, what happened here? And they're like, well, we were being, devastated by and cursed by a monster for 10 years, and then these 2 warriors came, you know, like, and like we hear about like
something
good
they've
things
already
that they've done. Yeah.
Oh, especially like tying that idea that Kraft, no one remembered what he and his party had done. That idea that when we do hear of Sign again, it's us hearing of something he's done on his journey. I love that idea.
I just need to read a couple of lines after Sign leaves. I can use magic to identify her illness and figure out which herbs to use. But I thought identifying illnesses was magic of the goddess. Didn't you say only the owner of a holy scripture could cast it? I've got a holy scripture.
Stark is the viewer. This is not the first time that Stark has been utilized in dialogue purposes as like the viewer, like tell us more, Frieren.
Using it as a pot stand. I'm not cut out to be a priest, but even I can identify simple illnesses. I wonder what I can't identify complex ones. I wonder where that line in the sand is drawn.
Mm-hmm. I really love, I think this answers some questions that we did have a couple episodes ago with this magical flower monster episode and that village where they were all basically asleep. I did have lingering questions about, okay, well, if you have to have a holy scripture, then how does a mage possibly use healing spells? What is the crossover there? Are we able to use some, or is it, if it's magic of the goddess, it has to be this specific type of person, and it can't just actually have any crossover with a mage? I still had a lot of questions lingering about that, and I think that kind of answered it for me, that it would just be harder, and you need to have a certain knack for it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm doing such a bad job of going chronologically this episode, but I don't want to forget anything
that's
like
fair.
really important or like really meant a lot to me.
Tell me.
I loved when Frieren was like, I think I wanted to give you a reason to sign. Like that she hated that he wasn't gonna go, and it reminded her of herself. I loved it.
Aversion to her own kind.
It's what Himmel would have done. And like, it's so good. When what that does, it's what Himmel would have done, is that bridge to sign through guerrilla warriors talking of wanting to become somebody like Himmel.
Frieren really has done, and we have to acknowledge this, what she's done for Sign since we've met him has been astronomical for this person and their self-love, their story, their everything. Because he was not ever going to leave.
Yeah.
Frieren, Stark, and Fern staying to convince him and trying their darndest to get him to go with them, coupled with, after all of their attempts failing, his brother then slapping him.
So good.
He's able to go fulfill things in his life that he never would have otherwise. Frieren gave him the reason, gave him the push. And that's amazing.
I love this tortoise.
I love the tortoise too. I'm
glad we're feeding it.
That's very sparingly done that we're given creatures of this world.
They're so cool.
But whenever we are, I'm like, it's always like quick, but I'm so excited by it.
Yeah. We're also given this like big like branch of a tree. This big tree that was fallen over, and we had to walk across it. I love the little journey that we went on with Stark.
To get this icicle cherry blossom tree.
It was beautiful, and it's poisonous, and it has mushrooms that are big.
I really bet that tasted good. I mean, I saw Frieren cooking it up.
Yeah.
She looked like a head chef in a kitchen. She looked like she knew what she looked excited to be there. I would try it.
What do you think of the connection between, like, the hand-holding through Himmel into Fern, you know?
It's how she's learned to interact best with people. I think that what's most interesting about it is what she takes away from her conversation with Stark is the idea of her doing what she wants to do. Before, she was doing what she's seen someone else do, but in this conversation, she realizes for herself that is what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Even though someone else did it, it is now something she wants to do. It's not just her reenacting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Going through steps of not truly understanding why she's doing it, but she's recreating something she saw someone else do once.
And, like, it's hard not to also pin onto it just the lineage of memory and surviving through action and the memories of others. Like, this is something that Himel's mother did when he lost her at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
And Himel's mother is now alive again because Frieren has done it to Fern. You know, like in spirit. I just love it. It's not just children who need emotional support.
Which is very true.
I love Himel so much. I'm pretty handsome when I'm being considerate, aren't I? Like, I love it so much. The medicine's ready. Oh, what a great episode.
I really think that line, and it comes toward the end of it, but I think that I really like when shows aren't afraid to kind of sum up what the lesson or the theme is toward the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really does lean into the idea of what we were talking about earlier on in the discussion about how kind of nostalgic and comforting and almost like something you watched when you were younger and was influential in your life, how this show feels like that.
Yeah.
To have some sort of lesson or theme or idea or sentiment being reminded to you, or more verbatim, more like said and expressed by the end of the episodes, you really leave that episode knowing what this was about or feeling it. And just summing it up with, like, not just children need emotional support. It felt really good. It didn't just feel like, I don't know, it felt really good. It felt really good. This whole show.
It feels like it gets better every episode, but I think it's truly just like a snowball. Like, I think it's rolling a snowball. It's just growing and growing my love for the show.
I feel like every time we get into a Frieren Beyond Journey's End discussion, I just feel like I'm gushing.
Me too. And I feel like I do it all the time, and I don't want to be overly annoying by it. And, like, I keep that in my mind before even starting the episode. Like, okay, just talk about what happened. Don't just, spend 20 minutes saying why you love it so much. But then throughout the episode, I'm like, fuck, I love it so much.
I keep, like, ending my points with being like, oh,
so
and
good.
I just love it. It's so good. And I'm like, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I'm ending all of my topics and points of discussion about this episode.
Who would you recommend Frieren to? So, like, let me unpack that a little bit in thought. Like, there are people that I know who are like, I haven't watched any anime. I'm not, like, I don't typically watch anime for whatever reason or another. And, like, what kind of, like, could you recommend Frieren to somebody who's never watched anime? What's the, like, likelihood of appreciation? And if you couldn't to somebody, or if you didn't feel confident in recommending it to somebody who's never watched anime, at what level do you feel like they need to be at to really appreciate it to, like, the utmost degree?
I think that if they weren't an anime fan and they didn't watch anime, I would recommend this show to someone that I curated it for them based on theme and the story that it's telling.
Yeah.
Like, if I knew someone who I felt like would resonate with this idea of almost the idea of grief, but also the idea of trying to live in the present and hold on to, like, the connections and what people mean to you, and continuing to forge those new connections, I think that I would recommend it to someone if I felt like that would resonate with them or kind of push them to maybe, at least for me as a person, it pushes me to want to continue to work on my friendships and my relationships and continue to get to know the people that I have in my life better, so that time of, like, what if they're gone? What if they're no longer there? And all of those things you could have learned about them, the little quirks. Do they like sour grapes? All of those memories you can make with them, just to make sure I have those. I'd probably pick it as a curated thing for a non-anime fan. I feel like maybe older audience too, not like a child. Like, if I was going to try to get my mom to watch an anime, I feel like I could pick this anime as an anime to get her to watch.
Man, I'm jealous of this world. Like, maybe it's just the world that adventurers and magic, like that just vague world, but I think more specifically to Frieren, you know, like I feel like within our world, there's a tendency to, in regards to friendship and growth, once you grow apart as you grow older from people that you knew in school or like who are close to you in proximity early in life, and your friends change and you grow apart. And man, I feel like there's a tendency with a lot of people to be like, oh, we've grown apart. There's a disdain there. Like I'm mad that we're not as close as we were. I'm a negative about it. Like there doesn't need to be. If there was nothing negative, there was no betrayal in the first place. It's a beautiful thing to grow and meet new people and look fondly back at people, and then if you come across them again, you can be happy and excited and share in the times you had, you know. And I'm a bit envious of that because like within this world and this group of people, like it's so beautiful. Like there is sadness in Sign leaving, but there's so much joy too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, on the friendship level, like you're saying, I think for me, I find this story, even though maybe in this world and narrative things are a lot more rosy or beautiful than they might be, say, in like the real world, in terms of like I'm not going on a journey, so it might be harder for me to meet people.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like this show is hitting me in a spot of something that I'm currently really thinking about, which is that idea that like in this age I'm at, this kind of I'm no longer in school, the access to people and meeting new people and making and forging connections is a lot harder, but also those connections I had forged when I was younger have faded, and I am a lot different than I was, and the people that I was close to then are a lot different than they were. And that can be really scary and polarizing as you're entering a world where it's a lot harder to forge new connections, because it's like the ones I had before aren't as strong, and now looking forward it seems rather bleak, rather empty. I am fretful about this, I am scared about this, but there's something that's making me feel hopeful when I watch this show, that is the beauty of I don't need to find someone who's going to be my lasting best friend that's going to travel with me in this journey. I have already found someone for that. But in other people I meet, why can't I just appreciate whatever maybe even small impact they have on my life? Like, I'm okay. I don't need another person that's there with me 24/7. As I want to be able to appreciate and be present with the people that might only be there for a month, or at work for a couple hours every day, or maybe it's a family member I only see on the holidays, but I'm more present with them and still working on that connection.
This is a good for you show. This is a good for me show. This is a good for everybody show. Mm-hmm. We've done it again. We just spent the last 10 minutes
We literally just said we weren't gonna gush, and then we did it again. I'm never going to compliment this show again. Mark my words. That would be like failed upon even the intro into episode 18.
No,
I think that you would immediately be like, and we are back at Frieren Beyond Journey's End. I love this show. Enough said.
Not me making us have to redo intros to discussions because I don't say the full title of Frieren Beyond Journey's End because I feel like it deserves it because it's so good.
Has that ever happened? No.
You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.